Ringside Shootout next. This is Trucks and Tractor Power, featuring the All-Stars, the Monster Truck Thunder Nationals. Welcome to Trucks and Tractor Power on the Nashville Network. Today we're at the Canfield Fairgrounds near Youngstown, Ohio for the second annual Monster Truck Thunder Nationals. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Lee alongside Army Armstrong. Army side-by-side competition on what is usually a pulling track.
That brings out a unique point. Yes, Gary, this is normally a pulling track, but the monster trucks come in, and they're the only sport that I know of that almost have a portable track, if you will. By portable, I mean they come in, they construct the track themselves, they run on it, then they tear it down. No track is the same. You've heard us refer to good lanes and bad lanes. Well, already the drivers have determined the left lane is the bad lane to be in just by going out and looking at the angle of the ramps. They say 2 degrees can make all the difference. Walking around, they said they're just not going to make the call.
Here are the pairings, the Crusher against the Valvoline Clydesdale, Nightmare against Nightlife, then it's No Problem against King Crunch, Micro Machine, and Bad Medicine. Also, Snakebite against Bigfoot 8, but it has broken. Taurus will go up against Goliath. All right, here is Gary Porter, the Carolina Crusher, the fastest in qualifying this afternoon.
Gary Porter is experimenting with the transmission. Normally in the sport of drag racing, they have a transmission button or a stall speed. They can lock the transmission in and take the engine way up on the RPM. Porter is experimenting with that. That's all I know. But watch how quick he'll leave the starting line. Meanwhile, he's going up against Bennett Clark. Now, we haven't seen Bennett on tour. He's teamed up with Valvoline for this year. Let's see how he's going to do. But watch Porter.
Well, Porter won it in that section of track between the cars. It was side by. Look at this rough ride that the Clydesdale's taken.
Yeah, Bennett Clark with a Valvoline Clydesdale ran him harder than I thought he would off the starting line. But
well,
like
he has the advantage right there,
right.
But right here he loses it.
No
See that truck jump up in the air?
Yeah, the chassis unloaded on Clark. Meanwhile, Porter settled down and went to the next jump. Well, Bennett
Clark
still
almost went on over. He almost took a nosedive. Here's Army.
The quick qualifier, Gary Porter, has a unique situation that nobody else has. Gary, that's the fact that you're going to have lane choice all day long. What lane are you going to be choosing?
I think I'll stay with the right lane all night. You know, it seems to be the best lane for me. I qualified in it. You know, the left lane, there's not that much difference in the lanes today, I don't think. But, you know, since I've run the right lane and got used to it, I'm going to stick with it.
First round competition continues. Steve Hess out of Indiana in Nightmare. And his competition in round 1 will be Nightlife. Wayne Smozanic out of Jupiter, Florida.
Gary, both of these trucks are about parallel as far as the technology end of it. They're both early style, what they call sprung trucks. Okay, they don't have the cantilever suspension, the high-dollar shocks. They run leaf springs with normal shock absorbers. The truck we're looking at out of Indiana, he's going against a Florida truck. First jump, they look pretty equal, don't they?
Well, a Nightmare by a fender, perhaps, as they take that second ramp. Nightmare's going to pick up the victory. Nightlife, Wayne having some trouble in the second half of the course.
Yeah, over the first jump, we've got a pretty good little race going here, but when they get into no man's land, the GMC settles down and goes right on about his business.
And Army's with the driver of that GMC.
Gary, one of the guys that has this track figured out is Steve Hess. Steve, you qualified in the left lane. You run your first round in the left lane. The left lane looks smooth to you.
It does. With my truck, it seems to be working the best. I've been watching the trucks go both lanes. And the left lane, I think, is going to be a better lane for me.
Couple of guys from the Show Me State coming up next. John Breen and Micro Machine. And there's Bad Medicine with Don Van Loo. Now, Don's had his trouble getting here today. This happened earlier in qualifying.
In a previous run, you saw Nightlife going against Nightmare. Well, he just tried to turn it into nighttime here. A bad
there
run.
goes the light standard. Knocked that down, did some damage to the race course, but the truck's okay, and he's here in round 1 competition. A pair of guys from the state of Missouri, Bad Medicine and Micro Machine.
Boy, John Breen drilled Van Loo on the starting line. Van Loo trying to come back. No. Breen settles down again and goes to the wind out of the right lane, Gary Lee.
Once again, some trouble for Bad Medicine as he limps home, but the victory goes to Micro Machine. Let's have another look. Army coming right at you.
Both trucks leave the starting line good. John Breen seemed to read a better light, but Van Loo is just having problems. Notice how much bounce he's getting out of his truck. That shows you the new style truck, like the one on the left of the screen, absorbing that energy is definitely the way to go. Micro Machine will be back in more competition, Gary.
Well, here's a look at John Moore out of Lafayette, Tennessee, and the short wheelbase Ford Bronco. They call it No Problem. And here's Scott Stevens in the Auto Value King Crunch. This truck has taken its abuse. Earlier this season at Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, watch the ride that Scott takes. Crosses the finish line upside down.
Oh, high sides it big time. He's an old motorcycle racer. He knows what it feels like to high side one. But this is how you put them back together, Gary.
Well, it took a little longer than what we got time to show you right here, but they put it back together in the shops in Spring, Texas. Now, once they get it back together and they get it painted, they are here in Canfield. This was just last night, and watch what happens as he goes up against Snakebite.
First run, brand new truck.
Upside down again, this time all the way over. Scott again is uninjured, but he tears the truck up. So now this is in qualifying today.
You know, this is like any kind of motorsport. You've just got to go for the gusto. The front suspension breaks apart on you. You see the tie rod across the front of the vehicle. But if you're going to play with the big boys, you got to get off the porch, Gary.
This is why you have crew members. Tracy Smart certainly earning his money as they put that truck back together several times. He's one of the few crew chiefs that actually stays in radio contact with the driver during the competition. But here is round one, no problem, and King Crunch.
A lot of people don't realize that crew chief used to be an editor for a magazine. Let's go back to the racing. Short wheelbase Ford having problems. Stevens takes the Chevrolet the next round and still has problems, Gary.
Tell you what, he has to be hanging on every time he goes out in this Chevrolet. He has been upside down so many times.
These guys have been snake bit so many times the last couple of times they've been out. They're glad just to see a run where it stays on 4 wheels.
If they had a number on that truck, it would be 69. They could read it right side up or upside down. It's been a tough season for Scott Stevens, but here he is standing with Army Armstrong.
Well, Gary, as you well know, some of the best today start with the worst today. Scott, I think that's your scenario. A lot of problems in qualifying, but you come back and you're still in this thing.
Yeah, you know, it's really a battle out there just to stay in the program with these guys. And, you know, after 2 rollovers back-to-back, you know, we were a little apprehensive. And then out there in qualifying, we like to put it on its top again and broke a lot of parts in that qualifying run. We put her all back together with about 2 or 3 seconds to spare, I think, to get called to the line. Truck ran good. Our time was a little off of what we need to make this program and really be competitive today. But you know, we're going to go around at a time, and we're just happy to be there.
And here's a look at another brand new truck. This is Jack Willman out of Granite City, Illinois, up near St. Louis in the truck he calls Taurus. And here's a look at Alan Tura out of Warren, Ohio. This is Goliath.
Now, Tura's been on the sport just about as long as anybody, but he doesn't run in open competition. It's a book-type truck and everything, but he decided to come over with Goliath and see what he could do against these heads-up racing trucks. Man, if he picked a bad guy to go against.
Well, already Willman Sr. has the measure of Goliath, and he'll take the victory. Goliath motoring very slowly. Now he begins to pick up the throttle just a bit.
Oh, he's in trouble, Gary.
Oh, he's in big trouble. He picked up the throttle, but not enough. He was in that section where he didn't have enough speed to make it all the way over the cars. He made it over all right, upside down. He's okay. He bails out in a hurry. He can't be too happy with his decision to continue on. He was beaten, but he tried to complete the run.
Boy, that truck, it may not look like it. Allen's okay. The word we get, he's okay. That truck has sustained a tremendous amount of damage. If it had been going faster, I don't think the truck would have been torn up this bad.
I think had he had more momentum going over that jump, he would have been all right.
Yeah, exactly.
Extensive damage to Goliath. Now let's look once again. Now right here, he's beaten.
Yeah, it's
the
a done deal.
run is over. Why even complete the run? Why not just gingerly take him alongside the cars and off back to the paddock area?
Well, Allen, like I say, he's a showman, and he wanted to show the people what the truck can do.
Nail the hammer hard.
Right here, he did.
Speed.
Too late. Too late.
He needed more momentum hitting that second ramp.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to have the ground speed. You got to fly these trucks. There's no doubt about that.
Well,
again, right side of the screen.
Guessing his decision to go on this run, a very costly judgment.
You're going to see how costly in just a second. Like I said, they're getting ready to right that truck back up. A lot of damage, Gary.
He'll need a pickup truck to haul away the pieces from this pickup truck as they, as you say, start to right this truck. And there is Goliath. Oh, look at that. All I see are dollar signs.
Yeah.
As the fans look on here in Canfield, Allen's going to pick up the pieces and walk away.
Another day at the office for a monster truck driver.